To Tunisia now, where a wave of raids and arrests is drawing international condemnation. In the past week, authorities have jailed a number of people with links to the opposition or critics of President Kais Saied. Among them are prominent politicians, 2 judges, a trade union leader, and the head of Tunisia's main independent news outlet. On Thursday, dozens of journalists and rights activists took to the streets in the capital, Tunis, to protest against the arrest of Noureddine Boutar. He's the director of the private radio station Mosaique FM. The outlet has often been critical of President Saied. In 2021, the president sacked the government, froze parliament, and seized almost total power in what his rivals describe as a coup. Now, on Friday, Germany added its voice to international criticism of this crackdown. Berlin called for Tunisia to respect democratic principles and backed a UN call for the independence of the judiciary. Here's a German government spokesman, Wolfgang Büchner.
The German government views with great concern that many representatives of the Tunisian opposition, politicians, journalists and activists have been arrested in recent days. Democratic principles of freedom of expression and political diversity, as well as the rule of law, must apply in a democratic country like Tunisia. We share the call of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Türk, for fair trials under the rule of law and for the independence of the judiciary. Tunisia is in a difficult economic and social situation, and we do not want to leave the Tunisian people alone, but help overcome the challenges. In our view, the best way out of the crisis is an IMF program. Tunisia should conclude that quickly.
And we can now speak to Sarah Yerkes. She's a senior fellow at the Middle East program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. She joins us from Washington. Good to see you. So what's behind this wave of arrests?
I think what we're seeing is an escalation in Kais Saied's attack on Tunisian democracy. He clearly is nervous. He's seen that his poll numbers aren't great. The last couple of elections that he's held, the numbers have just been dramatically low, with only 11% of the population showing up. And so I think this just is a sign that he doesn't know what to do next. He's trying to round up all of the opposition, people from all over the political spectrum, in order to prevent anyone from being able to really counter him.
Tunisia is in deep economic turmoil and needs an IMF bailout. Given the international criticism of Saied's repression, especially coming out of the U.S., will these arrests weaken the government's position in forging a deal?
It is really bad timing on Saied's part in that he is actively trying to court the international community, including the United States and Europe, in order to back this IMF deal. The IMF has indefinitely postponed their decision, their vote on this deal. And so the fact that Saied would go ahead and take these measures that he knew would likely get the wrath of the international community is just really poor planning on his part. On the other hand, as we heard from the German statement, the international community is aware that this IMF deal really needs to happen. And so I do think it will happen eventually, but I don't think Saied's actions lately are going to help speed that process along.
How close is the country to complete economic collapse?
Very close. I mean, the numbers that are coming out of Tunisia every day are just worse and worse. The shelves are empty in the grocery stores. Inflation is really through the roof. Unemployment is through the roof. People, even middle-class people, are having a really hard time making ends meet and feeding themselves and their families. And there's no one that's coming to Tunisia's rescue. Tunisia has looked to the Gulf at times to try to help bail them out. No one so far has stepped up to help, which is why this IMF deal is crucial. But that IMF deal is not going to put food on the table either. So Saied needs to do a better job of actually courting the international community and doing things that will earn the faith of the private sector and bring donors and bring private sector companies back to Tunisia.
Is there any sign he would have any intentions of doing that? Because it seems like the opposite is the case right now.
Yeah, he unfortunately does not have any real economic expertise. He does not have a good group of advisors around him. He has been just really 100% narrowly focused on changing the political system, and he's let the country languish for a year and a half. He has the ability, he really controls all levers of power. If he wanted to, he could push through economic reforms. He could make some changes that would impact the economy, and instead, he's been just pushing through on the politics, arresting people, calling people traitors and terrorists, not doing anything to actually help the Tunisian people.
So there is effectively no checks and balances left in the country.
Exactly.
How secure is Saied's grip on power then among this growing discontent and the criticism that is pouring in from the international community?
So one of the sort of interesting pieces of these latest arrests, the arrests have been of people, again, across the political spectrum. He had been primarily targeting Ennahda, the Islamist party, before. Now he's taken people on the left. He's arrested the head of the private radio station. He has, in effect, managed to unify the opposition. So far, even though many, many people have seen through what he's been doing and realize he's not actually helping Tunisia, the opposition has failed to unite. They've been very, very divided amongst their own political challenges and issues. But what he may end up doing, ironically, by rounding up people from all different sides of the political spectrum, is creating this common enemy. And we've yet to see that coalesce. But it would not be surprising if you start to see some of the opposition realize, look, we're all in this together. We need to unite to go against him. At the same time, he does control all the levers of power. He so far has been really guarding himself and sort of protecting himself with the military, with the security services. So far he still does have a very strong grip on power, but that public discontent has brought down leaders in Tunisia before, and it wouldn't be surprising if it does to him as well down the road.
How much is the crisis in the country and Saied's authoritarian tendencies driving Tunisians to seek better lives elsewhere?
It's a major factor. I mean, we've seen the numbers of Tunisia, even before Kais Saied's coup, we've seen the numbers of Tunisians trying to leave and get on boats to go to Italy just really increase. We also see a lot of brain drain, Tunisians who go to Europe, the United States, to Canada in order to study or to work. Tunisians don't want to be in Tunisia anymore between the drastic economic situation as well as the political instability that's there. A lot of people just don't feel like the country, like the government is delivering for them. So we have seen really dramatic increases in migration over the past couple of years.
Sarah Yerkes from the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Thank you so much.